Is this your first holiday that you're plant-based? That you're not going to be making a turkey or a ham and you're not really sure what to do? Well, I'm going to be showing you a delicious holiday roast that I think you're going to love, so stick around. Hi, Debbie Chu here from Chew on Vegan, and welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, I'm a plant-based RN and I follow the Starch solution. If you would like more information about the Starch solution, I will leave a link to Dr. John McDougall's book in the description box below. On my channel, you will find whole food plant-based recipes that are quick and easy. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe. You can also follow me on Instagram, and if you're new to this way of eating or just feel like you need some extra support, especially over these holidays, I started a Facebook group and I will leave a link to that in the description box as well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a recipe that was inspired by Chef Ani. It is a holiday roast. It is completely whole food. It is completely vegan. It's gluten-free. And I have adjusted it to make it whole food, no oil, so it is Starch solution compliant. I'm going to also be showing you my mom's stuffing recipe that I make every year, and I have also veganized that as well. And that is gluten-free too. So let's get started. So for this holiday roast, I'm going to make the stuffing first because we're going to be stuffing our holiday roast with this gluten-free stuffing. So I've got some vegetable broth heating up here. And to this I'm going to add a large onion chopped and 2 stalks of celery chopped. We're going to let these cook until the onions are translucent and soft, a few minutes. This is a no oil recipe. I'm not using any vegan butter, no oil. This is basically my mom's recipe, just made vegan and no oil. It's very basic, it's very simple. So we're just gonna let this cook. So these have been sauteing a couple minutes. Now I wanna add some spices. I've got some salt and some poultry seasoning. I'm gonna add a little garlic. So continue to let it cook, adding vegetable broth as needed. So this is about how I like it to look, and the celery's a little bit soft, onions are translucent. So now we're gonna add in our bread. And I have 4.5 cups of dried gluten-free bread. I just made this last night. I had some gluten-free bread. I just cubed it up, put it in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes, turn the oven off and just let it sit in there for a couple of hours. And then I just put it in this bowl and let it sit out all night. And now it's perfect. So I'm gonna add that here. Then I'm gonna start adding some veggie broth. I've got about 1.5 cups here. I may use less, I may use more, I don't know. I'm going to start with about 1 cup and just start incorporating it in. At this point you can turn the heat off. Really mix it well before you add more liquid because you don't want it to be super mush, at least I don't, because you're going to be cooking it inside the holiday roast as well. I'm going to add just a little bit more. And I think that'll be perfect. So that was about 1.25 cups of liquid for 4.5 cups of the bread. So I'm gonna set this aside and then we're gonna get going on our holiday roast. So to make our holiday roast, the basis of this is going to be tofu. Now this is 1 pound of extra firm tofu. I didn't press it, I just put it in some paper towels and just kind of gently got the moisture out, but I didn't, you know, super press it. So that's going to go into our food processor. Whoops. Try to get it in the food processor. And then you just want to pulse it to combine. So next I have a 1/4 cup of tapioca starch, 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour, You could use rice flour, whatever kind of flour you want. If you're not gluten sensitive, use wheat flour. And then I've got a little bit of guar gum in there, and that's just gonna help bind everything together. So I'm gonna add that in. I have a couple tablespoons of Bragg's Liquid Amino. And then I've got a bunch of spices. I have salt, I have garlic powder, onion powder. I have poultry seasoning, so we're gonna add that to it. And I have a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Then you just wanna mix this until a soft dough forms. And you'll wanna scrape down the sides a time or two. Now here comes the fun part. This is the part I'm not so good at, but it's gonna be fine. So we're gonna dump all this onto our parchment paper. So once you get that all out, we're gonna put another piece of parchment paper on top. And I start by using my hands, and then I'm gonna use the rolling pin. But you wanna try to get it into a rectangle kind of a shape. So like I said, I'm not real good at this, but it doesn't matter because it's gonna get all rolled up and baked, and this doesn't really matter. Now we're gonna add some of our stuffing down the middle. And you don't wanna get it too close to the edges here. All right, now the fun part. You're gonna bring it up. And this just takes some getting used to. And try to get this side up. You just want to make sure that all that stuffing is covered with the tofu mixture. So this is when I pray and hope I did it right, but you know, like I said, I'm not good at this. So now we're gonna put this in some foil. Make sure it's nice and tight. Just kind of twist the ends. Okay, I'm going to put this on a baking sheet, let it cook for 90 minutes in a 350-degree preheated oven. And then I'm going to let it cool, and then I'm going to let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. Then I'll show you how you do it on the day you want to serve it. So we've got our roast here that was refrigerated overnight, and that helps set it. And now I'm just going to put this in a baking dish, and we're going to reheat it for about 30 minutes in a 350-degree preheated oven. So here's our turkey roast. I just laid it on top of the stuffing, and let's slice this up and give it a taste. All right, I've got my little turkey roast here. Sliced it up thick. You can do it thin. And then the leftover stuffing, I just put that in a baking dish and bake that at 350, the same length of time as I did my roast. If you want, you can also baste this, which I did do after about 20 minutes. I just made a simple base, a tablespoon of maple syrup and 2 tablespoons of Bragg's Aminos. And after 20 minutes, I just pulled it out of the oven and basted it and put it back in for about 10 minutes. You could do that longer if you want it to be crispier. It's totally up to you. So let's give this a taste. Got a little stuffing in that bite. I don't know if you can see that. This is such a good alternative. I mean, it's whole food, it's plant-based, it's no oil. Some of the ones you get in the store are just so full of oil, and they're not gluten-free usually. And it's just so much better to make it yourself. Yes, it was a little bit challenging for me. Like I said, I'm not real good at these kind of things. I usually do things a lot simpler, but for once or twice a year, it's worth it, it's delicious, and I think you're gonna love it. So I will serve this with the stuffing, with mashed potatoes, gravy. I have a lot of holiday recipes, which I will link below. And this would go great with any of those sides. So I hope you give this one a try. And remember that all my recipes are good for you, they're good for the animals, and they're good for the planet. And what you put on your plate determines your fate. Until next time, thank you. Then I'll go to my little thing. On my recipe, oh my, here we go again. It is, so this is about the consistent, so this is, oh my gosh, 2 tablespoons of, let's go back.